This is the 5th generation Lexus RX. Normally I start these videos with some sort of explanation about what the vehicle is, but Lexus has sold 2.3 million of these things since they launched it in 1998. The Lexus RX truly needs no introduction. But to create the illusion of competence in my job, I'll note that the RX is a mid-sized luxury SUV and that Generation 5 is built atop a lighter yet more rigid platform shared with the smaller Lexus NX. While overall length is unchanged from the previous RX, the wheels now sit a bit wider and the wheelbase has grown by more than 2 inches. In movement, the RX rides with a sophisticated plushness that you would absolutely expect from the RX, though I will say it's not as disconnected from the road as you might expect. I am aware that there is a road I'm driving over. I happen to be driving on a road that has a curve coming up here. Let's see how the RX steers. Well, there was a BMW almost coming into my lane, so that's not the RX's fault. I think that there's a little bit of a disconnect between me and what the front tires are doing. I'm not getting a lot of that great road feel, and that matters exactly 0% to Lexus RX buyers. It steers just fine. I'll also note that visibility is pretty good in all directions. There's a little quarter window there on the right side, and yeah, it's a little bit high, but generally speaking, I feel like I can see out just fine. Moving at higher speeds, one thing that jumps out to me is the fact that noise is really well controlled in here. It's quiet enough that you can have easy conversations about tough subjects. Jason, how do you feel about TikTok? It's awkward. But I can hear every ugh he's saying. Ugh. I'm driving the 350h hybrid, and there are 2 things we have to do. Floor it. We hear the surge of the engine as it's coming on, and yeah, that is good assertive thrust. And then the other thing is we need to brake. Hybrid brakes oftentimes feel terrible because you're blending friction and regenerative brakes. And can I come to a smooth stop? Driver inattention detected, not wrong. But I can come to a very smooth stop even though this is the hybrid with the hybrid brakes. I'm inattentive, but I am a smooth inattentive guy. Floored. So I can confirm the 350h hybrid goes and stops really well. Here are some stats for that hybrid I'm driving. Interestingly, it only comes with all-wheel drive. The version most buyers will drive is the non-hybridized RX 350 that features a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine coupled with an 8-speed automatic transmission and offered in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Lexus will eventually offer a 450h Plus plug-in hybrid variant, but details were limited as of when I made this video, so we'll just jump to the speediest version, the RX 500h F-Sport Performance. It employs a hybrid powertrain with a 2.4-liter turbocharged engine and a rear electric motor plus a 6-speed automatic transmission for a more direct acceleration feel. I have commandeered a 500h, let's see if it dazzles me. Here's how it feels from a stop. Oh! That's punchy. 0 to 60 takes about 5.9 seconds according to Lexus, and sure, that sounds right. An interesting behavior of the 500h is that when you floor it, there is a little bit of torque steer that will occasionally pull the wheel left and right a little bit. The propulsive intensity of the 500h is amplified by the fact that it has a 6-speed automatic transmission, so as you're accelerating, revs rise in a very natural way, and it feels better. It's a very kind of direct way of propelling yourself. I said amplified, and that couldn't be a more perfect way to describe it because also the audio system pumps in fake audio when you're accelerating. In fact, it sounds a little something like this. That is not the engine. It's a little bit of engine, but it's a lot of fake noise coming in. And if I hadn't told you it was fake, you might not know. Sounds fine. Playing with the drive modes, if I put it in sport here, it firms up the suspension. It adds a little bit of heft to the steering. I'm going to make a hard left here and see what happens. So it's not sharp with the steering. It feels like there's a little bit of looseness with how much I can move the steering and how quickly the chassis reacts, and you see a fair bit of body roll here, so I would say the steering isn't objectively sporty, but it is sporty for an RX. In total, the RX driving experience is what you'd expect. Comfortable, quiet, and in 500h form, pleasantly quick. If you're just hanging out inside, the RX is similarly delightful. One improvement for the 5th generation Lexus RX is an increase in rear seat legroom, and true enough, I'm sitting behind my preferred front seat position and I have a ton of knee room. Headroom is similarly good, but there are a few other things to note here. Down here we've got heated and ventilated rear seats, which is pretty neat. There's also a lot of black plastic to collect your fingerprints there, USB-C ports, and your own little climate control. And then this is another fun deal. You have a power recline feature. Let's get reclined. It's a pretty good recline. That is very comfortable. And then you've got a way to keep the little people outside so they can't see how majestic you are inside. This is a very accommodating rear area. Oh, and just for funsies, let's see how I fit in the middle position. Well, I don't really fit in the middle position. My head is whacking up against the top here, and that's uncomfortable. Though I am into this big flat perch for my feet down here. That's not so bad. Overall, I, Mike Amusio from the internet, would happily ride in the back of a Lexus RX, depending on who's driving. Up front, a 9.8-inch infotainment screen comes standard, but a snazzy 14-inch unit is found on higher trims. Either screen includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus voice activation via the Hey Lexus prompt. Hey Lexus.
What do you want to do?
I want to go to work.
Sorry, the network is currently busy. Please try again later.
No internet means I don't have to go to work. We have the 14-inch screen, and I find it very easy to use. One interesting thing that takes a little bit of getting used to is that there's no home button, there's no home screen. Instead, you just have these persistent sub-menus, and you're just always in the sub-menu. Here we are in the phone thing. Here we are in the car space. Oh, this is a really interesting fact. There is no button to change drive modes. There is a fly in my eye, but there's no button. So what you do is you have to go in here and you have to push for normal, eco, or sport mode here. And some people on this trip that are reviewing the vehicles think that's very, very difficult. It is not. You push a single button and then you decide your mode. The only thing I'll notice that there's been this little like spinning wheel of death up top here. I don't know what that means. Otherwise, I find this system very easy to use. While I appreciate the RX's new streamlined interior arrangement, some folks might miss having hard buttons for certain controls. I can sympathize because change is hard. Speaking of, one oddity about the RX is the fact that they all come with this electronic shifter. If you've never driven a Toyota Prius, this might be unfamiliar. Here's how it works. You have to push to the left and then press down to go to drive, or to the left and up to go to reverse. Here's the park button. I review cars for a living, and when I first got in here, I repeatedly put it straight down into sport mode rather than driving like 5 times, which is embarrassing. This is the kind of mistake you'll only make once, but if you don't want to look like an idiot, that's how you do it. Peculiarities aside, the RX's interior layout and materials have an appropriately elevated feel for a segment that includes the Acura MDX, Volvo XC90, BMW X5, and Mercedes-Benz GLE. I suppose we should also touch on exterior styling. Most notably, the requisite Lexus spindle grille now blends outward into the RX's face. Around back, there's the blacked out pillar treatment found on Generation 4, but perhaps the most striking element is the body line that sweeps up from the rocker panels along the rear fenders. In the real world, it plays with light and reflections in a really interesting way. One change for the new Lexus RX is the integration of electronic door releases. The reason why they're here is A, they're kind of cool, but B, it integrates with the safe exit assist system, which prevents the doors from opening if something is coming up from behind. That can be a bicyclist, that can be a super fast runner, it could be a car. So you've got these electronic releases here. And if you're wondering, how do you get inside if the battery is dead, they have a little release right here, cleverly integrated into the exterior door handle on the passenger side. And if you open it up here, you got the same thing, electronic release. You push that in if you want to get out, but look, you can pull it and the door will open. Fear not, RX fans, you can get in and out of your vehicle even when the battery fails. Keep it simple, and a base RX 350 comes with heated 8-way adjustable front seats, multi-zone climate control, and a 12-speaker audio system. Also standard is Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0 that merges full-speed dynamic cruise control with curb speed reduction, lane keep assist, and automatic emergency braking with intersection support plus motorcyclist, bicyclist, and pedestrian detection into one big old bundle of safety and convenience. And if you want to fancy up your RX, there are plenty of wood, leather, and tech upgrades offered on higher trims. As for price, I don't know. Lexus didn't have any details before this video went live, but considering the former RX had a base price around 47 grand, let's just assume that the 5th generation starts a little bit above that. I wasn't sold on the RX's style until I saw it on the road. Now I kinda dig it, especially in Lexus's sassier color choices. I also like the interior, for the most part. With a little adaptation, I could feel quite at home in here. And it's hard to argue with how the RX drives. Lexus knows its customers, and the 5th generation's quiet and composed demeanor will play well with the RX faithful and new converts. Has Lexus revolutionized the RX? No, it's basically the same formula as the previous RX, but better in most regards. And that is exactly why they're going to sell millions more.